As a government, our strategies in tackling maternal mortality include, but not limited to, the following: awareness creation and sensitization. This is where we need the assistance of the public and all concerned citizens here in the country and abroad. It is good to protest for lives lost, but more importantly, to play a role in stopping the next maternal mortality by calling on women to register early for antenatal care, or we donate blood to our nearest health facilities. It would be good during the protest to have a blood donation drive as well. Of course, we think we are all aware of the recent protest, and we see it in a good light in the sense that it has helped to create awareness. Many people probably didn't know about the issues of maternal mortality, but I think it is in good light, and we are ready to work with them to forge ahead. Social and economic empowerment is very important. There is a strong correlation between the society's general socio-economic advancement and maternal mortality. In societies where where the socio-economic advancement is high, there is a lower level of maternal mortalities. People who are empowered socially and economically generally are able to make timely choices when it comes to pregnancy and labor. They are also less likely to enter pregnancy in a suboptimal level. They are also more likely to prepare for pregnancy, that is the preconception period. The ministry has initiated the Kabilo-Bama initiative to empower women and educate them on reproductive and maternal health. This has been a success story that other countries are emulating. We have done it in a region in Gambia where it has yielded very positive results, and we've gotten funding to expand it to the entire country. In the Kabilo-Bama initiative, women and their spouses work together through the pregnancy. The men accompany their wives to the antenatal care. They remind them, they donate blood, they support them, they look at the symptoms and signs that we have been taught to all of them as a family, and it has yielded results. And we started seeing a decline in the maternal mortality in that region where the Kabilo-Bama initiative has been very functional, and we are expanding that initiative. We've also started to renovate old and dilapidated facilities and also building new ones. The results-based program has brought about a revolution in the way the health facilities are being run, and we are maintaining the gains and hope to improve on it so the whole country is included. In this program, women are even given incentives for coming to attend antenatal care. So when they know they get to the facilities, they are given some financial incentives and some feeding supplements so that they continue to come, and it has been very helpful. Next year, we have plans to upgrade 14 facilities to be able to provide comprehensive obstetric and neonatal care. This will entail the construction of a theater and blood transfusion services so that we decentralize the conduction of cesarean section in the whole country so that women do not have to be transported for hundreds of kilometers to a facility where they can have cesarean section. That process has started. One example is SL here. SL is being renovated currently at the tune of over $9 million, and the theater is being improved upon, and already the doctors are there, and cesarean sections will be done there for that part of the country so that they do not have to wait for a ferry to come to Banjul to get a cesarean section done. We are about to advertise for the construction of 11 health posts across the length and breadth of the country to make make maternal care, especially antenatal care, accessible to more of our people. We hope to improve on the delay experienced by women in reaching facilities. We have already procured 10 ambulances, you are all aware, for the COVID response, and 23 are being processed for procurement. The idea is, and was before COVID, to start what we call maternal mortality reduction services, whereby we have community ambulances. The idea is to have these community ambulances stationed at strategic locations with a specific number, whereby anybody with a pregnant woman who needs to get to the hospital will call that number. The ambulance will go to the house of that person to pick and ferry straight to the hospital. For the provincial villages, it will be stationed in a health facility centrally located, and it will be available just for that service of picking people from their homes to the health facilities. We have realized that this has been a big challenge. The ambulances generally placed at the facilities are for conveyance of the patients from one facility to a referral site. They do not go to the homes to pick these women up. And this is the new thing we are going to start with these new ambulances, so that patients are picked from their homes to the facilities. Because we have had instances that a pregnant woman delivered on the way, that's not recent, a few years ago we had, delivered on the way on a donkey cart. And the traditional birth attendant who was helping her out, it was a distressful situation. Because the woman delivered and they couldn't reach the health facility because it was at night, and wolves decided to attack them. And then so they had to run back. So these are the realities. So now we're going to get ambulance services to pick these women from their homes very soon, inshallah. We also said, as earlier mentioned, blood cannot be created but must be donated. At this juncture, we thank all the blood donors in this country, especially the armed forces who have been very, very willing donors. We would request for all other institutions to emulate this gesture. That will help to save many lives. We've also, as mentioned earlier, started a process of licensing the private facilities that will be allowed only to carry out specific functions that they are competent enough to do. Because unfortunately, almost all private facilities here are jacks of all trade. They do whatever they want to do without caution, without restriction, and unfortunately as well, we have also had instances whereby some facilities, because they want to conduct a cesarean section in that private facility, they refuse to refer a patient, because when people conduct cesarean section, they are paid more in their facility. So these patients are refused referral early on because the wish is to conduct a cesarean section here, and sometime last year, that was the result, the cause of losing a young 32-year-old woman who should have been referred 2 weeks or so earlier, but was kept in one facility. For those doing unsafe abortions, we continue to notify the police, and then we also urge everyone to help us in maintaining vigilance, and we discourage the people, because it is illegal in the first place, but rather than that, it is dangerous, and it could cause the loss of life. We also hope to reduce maternal mortality by the commencement of specialization training of doctors and nurses in the Gambia. It has been started already for the first time in this country in the areas of obstetrics and gynecology and general surgery. Madam Speaker, distinguished National Assembly members, we are now training gynecologists gynecologists and obstetricians in this country. And we thank you all for that support, because some time ago, our people came here requesting for extra funding to be able to bring in more specialists from across the world to strengthen our postgraduate trainings here. And we all debated over it, and we are giving that support. We thank you all, and we thank our House Health Select Committee who have been at the forefront of that. The process has already started. Unfortunately, there were some delays in expanding because of the COVID crisis that has prevented people from coming from other countries into Gambia, but the process will continue. Madam Speaker, distinguished National Assembly members, maternal mortality, as you can see from this submission, is a very complex issue. The healthcare workers have an important role to play when the patient gets to them. And it is not excusable for anybody to be found wanting, to be negligent. And at this juncture, I wish to apologize to the entire nation, and also to the families of those who have been affected by the negligence of any healthcare worker. We wish to say we are very sorry, and we will do our best to make sure that that does not happen again. Any one of them who is also found wanting, it will be investigated. We currently have a few that have been investigated by the relevant authorities, and the necessary actions will be taken, because there shouldn't be any compromise when it comes to the lives of people. However, at this juncture, it is also very important for us to understand the complexity of the issues surrounding maternal mortality, from poverty, from malnutrition, to bad roads, to knowledge about when to seek care, about who even accompanies the person to the hospital. Quite a number of our women are accompanied by an elderly woman from the community, who usually is unable to detect anything on the way or even help to poor transport mechanisms. So it is a very complex issue. Of course, our health facilities themselves need to be improved upon. We did mention maternal mortality in Spain being 4 per 100,000 live births. A small region in Spain of about 2 million people, just like the Gambia, their health budget is 1.9 billion euros. Certainly, it will be very difficult to compare the outcome of patient management in that region to a resource-poor Gambia. Of course, it is important that we do our best, but resource limitations certainly also have an important role in maternal mortality. At this juncture, Madam Speaker, distinguished honorable members, we wish to thank you all for your interest and giving us the opportunity to make this clarification. It has been a very difficult thing. It is heartbreaking for all of us. All of us feel the pinch, because these are our sisters, our mothers, our wives. They are part of us. So we all feel the pinch. We are all concerned. We are all equally stressed out when it happens. But I think collectively we can make a difference. But we want you to help us in the continuous advocacy as you did for COVID. I think we should equally do for maternal mortality. Our people are developing TV jingles, some are already on, radio drama shows, and posters. And we'd like to share those with you so that it reaches the communities. But the advocacy is very important, because the more they know, the less likely they are to fall victim to the issue of maternal mortality. Once again, I use the opportunity to thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And I'm sure the Directorate will continue working with the Office of the Clerk so that the Health Committee can start work immediately. On that note, may I call on the clerk for us to proceed with the bill, please? Thank you.
Bill, Standing Order 72, Sub 20 and 75, third reading of the bill. The Gambia Women Enterprise Fund Bill 2020 by the Honorable Minister for Women and Social Welfare.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, we recorded the third reading of the Gambia Women Enterprise Fund Bill 2020 was scheduled for Monday, the 21st of September 2020. However, it was realized that the reprinted version of the bill did not capture all the amendments made at the consideration stage. Therefore, it was resolved to defer the third reading until such time that the person in charge of the bill submits the corrected version of the bill. Accordingly, the reprinted version of the bill entitled the Gambia Women's Enterprise Fund Bill 2020 is now before us for consideration. And I would therefore invite the Honorable Minister for Women, Children and Social Welfare to move a motion for the third reading of the bill entitled the Gambia Women Enterprise Fund Bill 2020. But before doing so, I would just want to confirm from the chair whether everything has been captured adequately. Because
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. From the co-chair, because we have two co-chairs, yes, okay. Yes, okay. On behalf of the Joint Committee, I wish to inform the Assembly that we have been consulting with the Ministry, and they too have been, they told us that they also have been consulting with the Council at the Ministry of Justice to ensure that all the corrections are factored. So I can confirm that they have been factored. They are factored in this final document before us. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, you can move the motion. Thank you. You have copies of the bill, everybody? Yes, thank you. Honorable Speaker, members of the National Assembly here present, I also wish to acknowledge the Vice President and honorable ministers and members of the National Women's Council here present. Following the successful first and second readings of the Women Enterprise Fund Bill 2020 and the subsequent amendments, I beg to move that the bill entitled Women Enterprise Fund Bill 2020 be read a third time for approval and enactment by this August Assembly. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any seconder? Yes, Honorable nominated member, Seta. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ma. I humbly support the motion that the bill entitled Women Enterprise Fund is to be approved. I humbly move second that motion. Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the bill entitled the Gambia Women Enterprise Fund Bill 2020, having gone through the consideration stage with amendments, be read a third time and passed. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. Now, can you please read the short title? Thank you.
The Gambia Women Enterprise Fund Bill 2020.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you very much, and all honorable members, of course, including the committee members, the joint committee members. Thank you. Clerk, can we proceed on the motions? We deal with the motions without notice first. Thank you.
Motions without notice in pursuant to clause 53R of Annex 66(4) of the standing orders.
Thank you very much. The ABC had approved the consideration of the motions without notice. So, any honorable member, honorable members who wish to move a motion without notice, otherwise we will proceed. Yes, Opasani. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to move a motion for the extension of the committee stage on the bill, Anti-Corruption Bill 2019, relying on our standing orders, clause 53I and 66, subclause 4, to the fourth ordinary session. That's the Anti-Corruption Bill 2019.
Yes, Governor Central. Thank you very much. It has been moved and seconded that the committee stage of the bill entitled Gambia Anti-Corruption Bill 2020 be extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. The committee stage of the Gambia Anti-Corruption Bill 2020 is hereby extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly. Honorable member from the list. Sorry,
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, in accordance with clause 53(1) and 66 of the standing orders, I rise to move that the committee stage of the undermentioned bills be extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly. 1. Persons with Disabilities Bill 2020, Criminal Offences Bill 2020, Criminal Procedure Bill 2020, Prevention and Prohibition of Torture Bill 2020, and International Crimes Bill 2020. Thank you.
Yes, Kondo East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the committee stage of the undermentioned bills be extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly. 1. Persons with Disabilities Bill 2020, Criminal Offences Bill 2020, Criminal Procedure Bill 2020, Prevention and Prohibition of Torture Bill 2020, and the International Crimes Bill of 2020. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. The committee stage of the aforementioned bills are hereby extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. In accordance with clauses 53(1) and 66(4) of the standing orders, I rise to move that the bill entitled Tourism Offences Amendment Bill 2020 be extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly. Thank you. Observation, Honorable Speaker, observation. The clause the member quoted, it should be 53I, not 53(1), 53I.
Can we update? Go ahead.
It's 53.
But I did not get the bill. Sorry, can you repeat your,
Sexual offense. Which bill?
which bill are you?
Let me just repeat number figure.
In sequence, but
So it's out.
when you fail to follow the sequence, I have to be turning the pages.
I understand. So in accordance with clauses 53R of the and 66(4) of the standing orders, I rise to move that the bill entitled Tourism Offences Amendment Bill 2020 be extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly.
Kumana,
Thank you. I rise to second.
thank you. Sorry, it has been moved and seconded that the committee stage of the bill entitled Tourism Offences Amendment Bill 2020 be extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly. Those in favor, please say aye. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. Honorable members, I did indicate earlier on that the Hansard units have some problems getting the recordings right. The committee stage tourism offensive.
Speaker, please. Pastor Hansard is having a problem for members, on the floor using the face mask. Well, given the right of allowing us to, when we are on the deliberation to use, without it. Because closing your mouth on you cannot, not everybody can shout like people like
Very clear.
it's obviously, this was the
Honorable member, let us use, I am not denying, it's not a question of allowing. I mean, maybe it may be convenient for some, and some may prefer to take extra caution in terms of leaving it on. So the decision is entirely that of the honorable members. But I have been advised by the Honorable Minister of Health to advise honorable members to put on the masks, especially when speaking. So I am not imposing any obligation on anybody. Thank you. I was saying the committee stage of the Tourism Offences Amendment Bill 2020 is hereby extended to the fourth session of the National Assembly. Any more applications? Yes, honorable member for Barrow'S. Sorry.
Honorable Speaker, in accordance with clause 53R and 66(4) of the standing orders, I rise to move that the committee stage of the undermentioned bills be extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly. 1. Women's Amendment Bill 2020, Civil Marriages Amendment Bill 2020, Christian Marriages Amendment Bill 2020, Married Women's Property Amendment Bill 2020, Matrimonial Causes Amendment Bill 2020, Skill Bleaching Prohibition Repeal Bill 2020, the Gambia Nationality and Citizenship Amendment Bill 2020, Births, Deaths and Marriages Registration Amendment Bill 2020, and Domestic Violence Amendment Bill 2020.
Any seconder? Seconder, yes, nominated member Niasi.
Thank you, Ma. I write to second the motion, and in the same vein, I would like the disability bill to be a core committee, that is the health and the constitutional matters, constitution and human rights matters. Thank you.
I think the motion is very specific on these 9 bills, so the secondment should be on this bill. The disability bill has already been dealt with, yes, it has already been dealt with by the chairperson, vice chair of the Human Rights and Constitutional Matters Committee.
Then can I make a motion that it also refers?
No, let's complete this motion first, Honorable. Let's finish the motion. Any seconder? Yeah, you seconded. Okay. Thank you very much. Turn for the extension of the committee stage. Madam, point of observation. Please, somebody has asked a question. I have not responded, so he's asking for which bills?
It's talking about the way you ask for a second, the confirmation of the process. We have a concern that I wanted to be clear. About the skin bleaching, if I allow me, I stand to be corrected, but I believe the skin bleaching bill was thrown away at the second reading. No, I stand to be corrected because that's the belief I have, that at the second reading, it was thrown out.
That can be clarified later, but what we have on record as far as formal procedure is concerned is that the Honorable Chair has moved a motion for the extension of the committee stage of the above cited bills, the bills that he has already cited, to next session. So I'm sure now and against that time they will confirm whether the skin bleaching prohibition repeal bill was actually thrown out or not. But the motion has been seconded by the Honorable nominated member, so we need to complete the procedure. It has been moved and seconded that the committee stage of the undermentioned bills be extended till the 4th ordinary session of the Assembly. One, Women's Amendment Bill 2020, Civil Marriages Amendment Bill 2020, Christian Marriages Amendment Bill 2020, Married Women's Property Amendment Bill 2020, Matrimonial Causes Amendment Bill 2020, excuse me, Skin Bleaching Prohibition Repeal Bill 2020, the Gambia Nationality and Citizenship Amendment Bill 2020, Births, Deaths and Marriages Registration Amendment Bill 2020, and the Domestic Violence Amendment Bill 2020. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. Therefore, the committee stage of the above mentioned bills are hereby extended till the 4th ordinary session of the Assembly. Thank you. Any more motions?
Madam, I have an observation here.
Sorry.
I have an observation. For the purpose of clarity, the movement of the motions quote provisions from the standing order, by only giving the name of the provision. I think, for clarity, if one, for example, it has been read, this is, for example, with the authority of Section 75R, and it is read that we know that this is what the Section 75R says, then the subsequent members can just read the name. For clarity, Madam Purpose.
One document we should all try to master. So, if a section is referred to, we all read it at the same time, and in fact, it's a very short. It's understanding orders. Yes, honorable member for Banjul North.
Honorable Speaker, in accordance with clause 53R and 66(4) of the standing orders, I rise to move that the committee stage of the under-mentioned bills be extended until the 4th ordinary session of the Assembly. 1. Labour Amendment Bill 2020. 2. First Labour Amendment Bill 2020. And this is a joint committee engagement. Thank you.
Any seconder? Lower Florida West.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I rise to second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the committee stage of the under-mentioned bills be extended until the 4th ordinary session of the Assembly. 1. The Labour Amendment Bill 2020 through the First Labour Amendment Bill 2020. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. The committee stage of the above-mentioned bills are hereby extended until the 4th ordinary session of the Assembly. Thank you. Any more?
Yes. Honorable.
Yes, sir. Let me take, I've already given the floor to the Honorable Member for Senate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to make a motion without notice on the Standing Order 53R that after consultation with the office that we cannot comply with Section 66(2)A, which gives us 16 weeks to complete our task as a committee, and by virtue of the fact that the 16 weeks will elapse before the 4th ordinary session, I rise to move on the Standing Order 66(4) that the bill entitled Public Service Pension Bill 2020 be extended at the committee stage until the 4th ordinary session of the Assembly.
Seconder, Busumbala, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. I humbly rise to second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the committee stage of the bill entitled Public Service Pension Bill 2020 be extended until the 4th ordinary session of the Assembly as indicated by the mover. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. Thank you. The committee stage of the Public Service Pension Bill 2020 is hereby extended until the 4th ordinary session of the Assembly. Yes, thank you. Any, yes, Serakunda, you have something? Sorry.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to make a motion without notice under Standing Order 53R that having done consultation with the office and taking note that Standing Order 66(2)A, which gives us 16 weeks to complete our task, and taking note that the 4th ordinary session will be convened and that our task will not be completed before 16 weeks, I rise on the Standing Order 66(4) to request that the committee stage be extended of the bill entitled Petroleum Commission Bill 2020 be extended until the 4th ordinary session of the Assembly. That the bill entitled Petroleum Commission Bill 2020, that the committee stage of the bill entitled Petroleum Commission Bill 2020 be extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly.
Jara is in second.
Thank you. I rise to second the motion.
That the committee stage of the Petroleum Bill 2020 be extended until the fourth ordinary session of the National Assembly sitting. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. The committee stage of the Petroleum Bill 2020 is hereby extended until the fourth ordinary session of the Assembly. Thank you. Any more? Environment? Yes, Sandu.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I just want, for the purpose of clarity, the Honorable Member for Banjul North stated that the Labour Act should be a joint committee, so I don't know which of the committees this.
It's a joint committee between trade and...
Thank you very much, honorable members. Clerk, can we proceed?
Motion. Continuation of consideration and debate on the State of the Nation Address 2020 delivered by His Excellency, the President of the Republic on Thursday, 17th September 2020.
Thank you very much. Honorable members will recall that the consideration and debate of the State of the Nation Address 2020 delivered by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia on Thursday, the 17th of September 2020 commenced yesterday, Wednesday, the 23rd of September 2020. However, the debate could not be completed due to exigence of time, and the Assembly therefore adjourned. So today, we will resume the debate from where we stopped yesterday. But before continuation, may I request honorable members who wish to take part once more to raise their tags so that they will be recorded accordingly, so that we'll be able to manage the time. But again, before giving any honorable member the floor, may I once more just remind honorable members the rules of debate as enshrined under our clause 36, subclause 1 of the standing orders, which reads, every member shall restrict his or her observation to the subject matter under discussion. And also clause 37, subclause 1, reads, debate upon any motion or amendment to a motion or upon any bill, part of a bill or amendment to a bill should be relevant thereto, except in the case of a motion for the adjournment of the Assembly. So the emphasis is mine. We're debating the State of the Nation Address. I therefore call on all honorable members to respect and observe the rules as indicated earlier. And I thank you very much all, and I'll call on the honorable member for Stumana, who was on his feet yesterday when we adjourned. I still have the list, but I will not but I have my list, but we can still take additional. Yes, Stumana, thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I think I'll just wrap up. Yes.
Going to the speech again, Honorable Speaker, page 31. As additional support, varieties of certified seed has also been distributed to them. Furthermore, after 23 years, arrangement has been finalized to revive cotton production in the country with assurance of a market in Senegal. This is a very good move. I was expecting to have this in the speech, because this is something that we've been talking about since last year or year before last. Yeah, but then what I want to know, or the clarity I want to get from this is why the market in Senegal? Why the market in Senegal? Is this a short-term plan or a long-term plan? Because I believe this is an area that employ a lot of people in this country, especially in my region, most particularly Tumana constituency. We can think of, having our own textile industry in this country that will also open up to many young people, that will serve as a employment opportunity for them in URL. And going through it again, page 43. I wanted to talk about something, but I think I will list that with the minister. But then there is a mistake, I think, where you have page 43.3, additional over 687. That's what is in writing, but 680, that's in figure. So I don't know why that discrepancy is. I think they have to look at that. Let's check. Page 48, yes, that's on the transport, work and infrastructure. I have a lot of concerns under this area, but I will leave that to the adjournment debate because the life and the livelihood of my people has been affected by the construction of that route from Mansajang to via Mansajang, via Tumana to Kantora, and the UNOPS Project 2. So I want to raise certain concerns so that the ministry can take up with those issues. Honorable Speaker, you go to page 50, that was talking about this COVID-19, something like that. So at this point in time, I really want to thank the Minister of Health for the tireless effort that they've taken, or the giant step that they've taken to help the people of this country in trying to combat with COVID-19. And notwithstanding too, I also want to extend it to the Red Cross Society, MRC Gambia, and nurses and doctors of this country, civil society organizations, political parties, local councils, religious leaders, everybody is in this country, because honestly, it will be very difficult if these people did not take part in the entire process. So thank you for that. So the only clarity I also want to get from the minister is about that's page 51. That I must add that plans are underway to construct 8 permanent treatment centers and refurbish other isolation centers across the country. Can the minister be specific when he talks about across the country? Can he be specific towards that? And going to page 52, I wanted to talk about that. That's about this maternal mortality, but I think the issue has been addressed by him again. But notwithstanding too, I think where he was trying to say that there are numerous issues that relate to this maternal mortality, I was expecting for him to add lack of health center in some areas or some part of the country, but that was not indicated in his speech. Maybe I think that should also be added to his list of issues that lead to maternal mortality in the country. And water resources as final. Yeah, I want to hear from the minister himself to talk on like last year, I think my constituency, 6 communities or 7 communities should benefited from a borehole
from the Minister of Water Resources. But then up to now, we don't know what is really happening or what is holding those. So I want a clarity on what giant step is he taking, though we are in COVID-19, but then I don't know how they are working on it. So, I will have something to tell my people, because at some point, there are a lot of attacks that, yes, the government says this and they are not doing that. So at least a clarity on that, so that, I'll be able to tell them what is happening with those boreholes. So on that note, Honorable Speaker, thank you so much.
Honorable Member for Woolly East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also want to contribute to this address made by the President of the Republic, and we thank the President for the address. Honorable Speaker, I've read the address, but one thing that the people are very much concerned about has not been highlighted, and that is inflation. Inflation is on the rise. The price of fish in the market, oil, rice, all the essential commodities are going up, despite the fact that the restrictions, COVID-19 restrictions, regulations, have put some control on prices. So that is one area I think we need to look at. Also, there is mention of biometric cards being postponed at some point, which has affected the income that we could have derived from that area. I'm just wondering at what point was the postponement, because I know for sure that people were issuing ID cards. I got my ID card about a month or two ago. So I know there is always a crowd there, but whether it's only one place or it's across the country needs to be explained. Honorable Speaker, on page 33, on page 15, on the $31 million social safety net, which is carried out by the NAMA, I believe it's a laudable project. It has gone a long way to impact on the lives of the poor people. And we thank the Vice President's office for the role they play, as well as the NDMA. It was a tedious exercise for them, and it's definitely applauded across the country during these very difficult times. However, Honorable Speaker, my question there is, it is only done in one sector, one area of the country, when it is out to alleviate or is targeting the poor people. And I believe poor people are everywhere. Where I live is a mass with poor people. People have difficulty to have ends meet. So why not target the whole poor people across the country rather than just one section of the poor people? They say it's done only in the rural areas. I want to think that disasters are prone. Almost every year we have disasters. COVID-19 is one disaster, but we have other disasters as well. So I think we need to make special allocation, either in the contingencies fund, which will be there just mainly to support disaster victims.
I think that will be very, very important, rather than just depending on external donors, which may fail sometimes. Honorable Speaker, on the small and medium enterprises and entrepreneurship development, where it is mentioned capacity building to train the youth on marketable skills, I believe that's a welcome move. But I was thinking that how do we create room for these youths to start small businesses? How do we fast track it? Because in many countries, Honorable Speaker, even in the region, there is a specific threshold in terms of investment, which is just meant for the indigents of their country. For example, some would say any investment below $5,000 or below $5,000 should be left to indigenous businesses. And any business, any investment above 5,000, is open to external investors. This will create room and space and encouragement to youths to engage in business. Honorable Speaker, on page 31, there is a mention of 11,000 metric tons of fertilizer for sale to farmers. I think this information was provided a long time ago. I know the information is correct, but then along the way, I believe something happened that makes it difficult for farmers to access this fertilizer. At the tail end, almost a month before the time allocated for usage of fertilizer, many farmers were struggling. In the end, we are informed that NEMA project had in fact bought all the fertilizer from the distributors, and then farmers were not able to access the fertilizer as they would want to have it. Honorable Speaker, also on the price of ground, that is agriculture, we need to strategize, because the last season, we all know the harvest in Senegal was not good enough. And there was a lot of people coming from Senegal to buy the price for the ground from the Gambians. And then the price went up. But I'm also informed that Senegal has also invited Chinese to purchase ground, and that also increased the price. So the shortage and the willingness of the Chinese Senegalese to increase the price has taken the price far above the farm gate price that is allocated by the Gambia. And therefore, farmers were not willing to sell their nuts to the secos. They instead sold the nuts to individuals, mainly from Senegal. And this has deprived the Gambia of the foreign exchange that we are supposed to accrue from this. So this time, Honorable Speaker, I think we need to study not only our own internal market, but I believe we need to look at what is obtaining, especially in Senegal, because it's our main competitor when it comes to selling granules, so that we don't miss to have our own groundnut, which is produced in the Gambia, to be sold to our own companies. On page 36, Honorable Speaker, for water resources, it has been mentioned that the process of procuring essential substances and equipment, including water storage facilities to improve water testing, purification, and distribution. Honorable Speaker, that is something that we are looking forward to. It's very welcome because the new projects, water projects that took place in my constituency, and I'm informed also that even other places also were affected. The water changed almost just 1 month or so after opening the tanks. So people begin to see different color, and the ordinary person really need the water and they keep on drinking the water, but it may not be safe. So any testing, purifying or whatever, that is coming in that way, I think is an improvement which we are going to welcome. On page 40, Honorable Speaker, we've been informed a long time ago that the national sports policy is going to come. So now that we are informed also, we feel that that is long overdue. A lot of youths in the provinces have no faith that the state will provide anything for them regarding their fields, etc., etc. You can know that the people of Diabuku has already taken the bull by the horns and build their own mini stadium. I know they are on that process. But the people of Sutukova also, the youth, are contributing their own little thing to ensure that they fence their... So you can see the need for any support from the state to ensure that their infrastructures are taken care of. And anyhow, that can be fast-tracked so that we know how to come in, so that there is coordination with what people are doing on the ground and what the state intends to do. Because only after building something and then the state comes and brings that down and will be the best of resources. On page 48, that is the Lamin-Koto Pasamas Road completion, which is uploaded by the people. We are all very happy that we can move not only smoothly but very fast, go and come. However, Honorable Speaker, one thing that remains to be addressed is that the way the culverts or the water passage system was built in some places happened to create a lot of havoc, either destroying fields that were before not affected by water, or entering residences and destroying houses because the original waterway has been diverted because of the way the road is built. So if you go to Sutikowa, you go to Fodekunda, Pasamas, they are all affected by this. So I will call on the ministry, urge them to make a close look. I know they have already sent some people there, but not much has been done to look at it closely and see. Talk to the local people because they know better. They know what used to obtain there. So that whatever you are coming to build will not affect them after that. Honorable Speaker, in the area of communication, page 50, I think it's 58, that's information communication and infrastructure. There is this migration of analog to digital broadcasting. And I think the GRTS has introduced a satellite dish which you have to buy for something like 1,500. And just about one year, less than 1 year or so, then they introduce another one and discard this one. And that one is even more costly because it's about 2,000 something. And then people have to rent it from them. So that has affected many people from accessing GRTS television. So I will need the minister to make some clarification on that. What is the progress of that transition from analog to digital? And how can they can ameliorate some of the complaints that we have in that area. Honorable Speaker, take you back to page 33. On petroleum, we are informed that there has been a rescheduling of the drilling that was supposed to be done in 2020. Now it's rescheduled to 2021. It will be important to know, Honorable Speaker, what impact that has on the economy, or what implications that has. Is it just a delay, or does it have economic implications as well? I think that is something that we will want to know. We need an explanation on that. On the environment, Honorable Speaker, I think that will be my last. Now that the beautiful highway has been built from Lamenkoto to Pasamas, we were in Belgium, and driving from Belgium all the way to The Hague in Holland. We have both sides of the road are planted rows of trees from one country to the other country. It was beautiful. Not just beautiful, but also contributing to biodiversity, also building ecology, etc., etc. So, what plans can the Ministry of Environment do if they cannot build on their own, but to facilitate the communities along the highway to build roads, trees, to plant trees along the road from one end to the other? I think that will go a long way in building our environment. On that note, Honorable Speaker, thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Nyamina East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the exercise before us, it is actually in line with the Constitution and, of course, the standing order, because the Constitution, in accordance with Section 77(1), it is mandatory that the President must come to the National Assembly to address the nation. Again, Honorable Speaker, Section 108 of the 1997 Constitution did indicate that the National Assembly must prescribe their own procedure, which we refer to as our standing order. And Section Clause 24, one of the standing order did indicate, Honorable Speaker, that if the National Assembly is on session, at least if the President is to come and address the nation once every year, that must be done in the first quarter of the year. That is exactly what the standing order is talking about, Clause 24, one of the standing order, and this document is derived from the Constitution, Section 108. So obviously, Honorable Speaker, all these two documents are legal, and if one is to practice such thing, there is need for us to take caution of the standing order as well. If the ministry is not actually aware of some of these clauses of the standing order, there is need for the National Assembly to enlighten them to understand some of these things. Honorable Speaker, it is like we were expecting, of course, the President to give us plans, policy, and program of the government so as for the honorable members to know what is going to be the policy of the year, that's 2020. But waiting until the tail end of the year 2020 is like you are just giving a report. And I produce the document, Honorable Speaker, that is before us, but all that, of course, I have seen is like the President is just reporting to the state, whereas we were expecting a policy and program plans for the year, that's 2020, Honorable Speaker. There is need for us to take note of that, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the document, of course, all the sectors are actually in one way or the other touched by the President. We are enlightening what actually the government achieved, what are actually the plans that are in place, and of course the achievement that they have registered in each of these sectors. Honorable Speaker, there is need when such document is brought before the National Assembly members for us to take cognizance of the NDP that we call the National Development Plan and the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Because when the new government came into being, they indicate to the Gambian people that there are outstanding issues that we need to address. And for us to address some of these outstanding issues, we need a collective responsibility. And in doing so, the nation decided to come up with what we call the National Development Plan, NDP, and of course the Sustainable Development Goals. So anything that this country is working towards, we must take note of these two documents because we are working towards achieving the most fundamental things that are embedded in these two documents, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we are not ignorant of the most priority issues that are embedded in these two documents that I am referring to. That is the National Development Plan and of course the SDGs. Sustainable Development Goals. One of them, Honorable Speaker, it is embedded on the document that is before us, that is the State of the Nation address, is the reform agendas, Honorable Speaker, because here in the Gambia we have been advocating for this, that we need a change and we need to address some of the things that we believe that they are wrong. That is why some of these reform agendas they were brought for different commissions to be established in order for them to take charge and start doing their function. Honorable Speaker, we are very much aware of the TRRC, which is ongoing and yet to be completed, which is part of the agendas of the reform. Honorable Speaker, there was also this commission called the Ghana Commission, the Commission of Inquiry. It is completed, and of course, every individual here will know what transpired in that commission, and of course the recommendations and what are some of the measures that are undertaken by the government and the authorities responsible. Honorable Speaker, again, we understand that the CRC, the Constitutional Review Commission, which was one of the major things or reform agendas that this nation was advocating for. And we have seen also what really happened as long as the CRC is concerned. It is dead and gone, Honorable Speaker, which actually I for one I was not praying for. I for one I was not advocating for shock. I for one I was not actually thinking that maybe that will be the end of that. But maybe there are means or possibilities that can come up next. But this is what we have experienced for so far, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, agriculture, education, the talk of health, and of course the economy of this country. These are also major things that are embedded in those two documents. So these are some of the things that the President was trying to address. And all these things that we are talking about, these are things that are sourced or resourced from the taxpayers' money. Being the health sector, being the educational sector, being the agricultural sector, forestry, petroleum, and so on. All these sectors, of course, in one way or the other, if not all, but most of the things that we believe that we can do in some of these sectors, the taxpayers' money must be involved. So there is need in such a document. It is brought before the National Assembly for National Assembly members to take note and take charge. They have reported to us. This is what exactly they are telling us. Figures are given, statistics are given, and other substantial things are given embedded in this document. So it is the duty of the National Assembly members to see, to verify, to investigate, to ensure that whether or not some of the things that are mentioned in this document are accurate or not. There then we are taking charge and we are representing to let the people or the electorate know what actually the President said, that what actually happened. Our investigation will tell, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, to move further, I will touch on the educational aspect. Honorable Speaker, this is the area that we believe where we can build the mind of the generation or the young people. This is the area where we think we can build the cognizance of the cognitive of the young people. This is the area where we believe they will take charge of this nation tomorrow, Honorable Speaker. So there is need for us to give a greater attention to this very domain. Honorable Speaker, we are told by the President, if you get to page 46 of the document, you will get to know that we are told that 673,300 students directly affected because of COVID-19. This is a clear information. We are aware of this information. What is the other thing that we are going to do, Honorable Speaker? The ministry came up with an initiative that we call the radio and the TV program. Honorable Speaker, in this case, I will applaud the ministry for coming with such an initiative. It is marvelous and fantastic for us to come up with this, so as to engage the children who are out there, the children that will take charge tomorrow, the children that will take responsibility of this nation. But I will try to confine my intervention in this area to the people of Nyamina East regarding this program we are talking about. Honorable Speaker, the people of Nyamina East, especially the students, when this program was ongoing, they were deeply affected because they were not benefiting as expected. One, most of the people there, their parents are, of course, they don't have television to watch or to follow this program. Two, some of them don't have radio to follow this program. In fact, whereas they don't have that energy to ensure that they can follow this program. So these are some of the challenges that the people or the students of Nyamina East were encountering as long as this program is concerned. Honorable Speaker, this is a challenge. We have the intention to continue with this program. But if the resources are not actually enough or sufficient for us to continue with this program, I think we must come with massive plans to ensure that we see how best we can open schools, provided that some of the arrangements are done and people are protected as long as COVID-19 is concerned. There is need for that, Honorable Speaker. Another approach must be taken so that the children out there, they can also benefit, so that their education can also be taken care of, so that they can have the quality education we are advocating for, Honorable Speaker. Moving forward, we move to the agricultural sector, Honorable Speaker. I am a child of a domestic worker, and I am proud to be a child of a domestic worker, Honorable Speaker. And if you are to empower me, my people out there, their area is actually farming. I myself, I am a farmer. Barely 2 months I am there, within Nyamina is doing my farming. But the number one key challenge that we are experiencing there, Honorable Speaker, the fertilizer issue. If you get to page 30 of the document, Honorable Speaker, you will get to know what I am saying. Tons of fertilizers were distributed within the country. I am not disputing that, Honorable Speaker, but the measures that we are taking to ensure that they access the fertilizer was actually a challenge. Previously, farmers within Nyamina East appreciated the initiative that we are taking place, but for this year, my farmers within Nyamina East, of course, what they were doing in order to access this fertilizer, they will go to Birkama Bar, all the way Nyamina East to Birkama Bar, pay whatsoever number of bags of fertilizer that they have to buy. They will give it a receipt and they will get to another place just to collect that fertilizer. This was just a challenge. And farmers, they bitterly complain about this challenge they were encountering. One is time consuming, two, extra expenditure, and three, they could have used that energy to work on their farms. Honorable Speaker, what we are really recommending to the minister, we have places where this fertilizer can be deposited, and within Nyamina East, and these farmers can go there, make their payment, collect this fertilizer. If you think that you cannot just deposit whatsoever there, then we will recommend the agent who is there in Birkama collecting this money to be coming to Nyamina East for people to make their payment, then go and collect their fertilizer. This can be done rather asking farmers to go to Birkama just to make their payment, be given receipt, then they go and collect their fertilizer. I was making investigation on this, Honorable Speaker, but what my investigation did reveal, Honorable Speaker, is I was told that agencies that are there collecting this money normally, they have a challenge of submitting everything that was given to them. But I said, farmers should not be punished for those agencies not submitting whatsoever that is given to them, because no farmer, I repeat, no farmer will collect a bag of fertilizer without making full or complete payment. That can never happen. So that is not the fault of the farmers. That is between the authorities that sign this contract or that are actually working together to ensure that they have this fertilizer sold and collect this money. Honorable Minister, you can take note of that. Honorable Speaker, another burning issue, because COVID-19 definitely hinders everything in this country, and the agricultural sector is not an exception. The dry season is coming. Farmers, they encounter so many challenges they have suffered. Farmers actually sold some of the things that they believe that they could have used during the season, and obviously they don't have adequate resources or materials in order to embark on their farming. As a result, the little that they have working on them, on the farms, now that the dry season is coming, we of course have perishable goods that are already right out there. But the provincial markets are not open, Honorable Speaker. There are limos. It is there where the farmers can sell some of these products that I am referring to. But what the Senegalese are doing, they are coming into the country because we said we have closed our borders. And the number one key thing today that the Minister of Health will tell you, they will give you the justification of saying it is because of COVID-19, we don't just want to allow the Senegalese to be coming. Because most of the provincial markets that locally called limos are normally occupied by the Senegalese. Where are our borders? Where are our securities? What are the responsibilities? What are the duties? What are the things that they are doing? It is not the duty of the farmers out there to ensure that all these things are done. They have paid their price, they have paid the securities, they have paid the ministry to ensure that all these areas are protected. And we continue saying the Senegalese coming in this country. You and I, we know about this. Every individual who is within the borders, we know about this. And yet, the Senegalese are coming, giving a price to our farmers for them to access some of these products or commodities at a very, very low price. Is this how we want to empower our farmers? So I am recommending, if there is a possibility, the ministry responsible, let them take charge of controlling their borders, and let us have our unions reopened so that we can have some of these things, this market taking place. Because that's the only way the farmers can at least see value of what they were working on, Honorable Speaker. That is very important. The groundnut, I don't want to get into that. The Honorable Member for Willie East did emphasize about it. These are some of the things our people are complaining out there, Honorable Minister for Agriculture and Health. See how else we can collaborate so that we can create that market for our farmers to sell their products, so that they can realize the value of the products or the goods or the commodities they were working on. Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Youth and Sport, it is very important. I said I can never speak in this assembly without mentioning the issue of the young people. I could remember vividly again during the last budget session with the Ministry of Youth and with the Minister of Finance. Because since we started this National Assembly, I mean the 5th legislature, we continue having the young people, the budget of the young people below 1% of the national budget. And we keep claiming that we are empowering our young people. I believe if we want to empower our young people, the number one key resources that we must take note of is the little resources that we have. It is our resources that we have. We must start it from there. No one can defend that anywhere, but the youth of this country, they cannot even secure 1% of their national budget. I cannot just explain that anywhere. I cannot just defend that anywhere. And I can remember voting against that. Budget line of the Ministry of Youth and Sport, because it does not tell well about me. It It does not tell well actually about how we are treating our young people in this country. So obviously I cannot continue approving a budget line for the young people which is below 1% of the national budget. The justification was from the Ministry of Finance, the sport levy. The Honorable Minister for Youth and Sport is available. I don't know actually whether the sport levy started coming or not, Honorable Speaker. So I want the Honorable Minister for Sport to enlighten me whether the sport levy that was actually mentioned by the Ministry of Finance, whether the money started coming or not. If yes, what are some of the things that we have started registering as long as that package is concerned, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, NYSS is an institution established in order to be training the young people of this country and to give them skills in order to establish themselves. NYSS last year, 1,800 young individuals applied in that institution. They were able to absorb only 200 out of that 1,800, meaning 1,600 young were rejected. I think this is very alarming, and there is need for the ministry, the government, and of course this National Assembly to see how we can empower that institution, because they are doing a great job. They are definitely helping our young people, but it's because of the resources, the limited resources there that they have as a challenge. That is why most of these young people are rejected when they apply. Imagine 1,600 young rejected when they applied. Only 200 were taken. This is very serious. And of course, in that institution, there is this we call the National Youth Service Program. There is need, the Ministry of Youth and Sport knows what I am talking about. There is need for us to start having that program in place, so that we can start the implementation. Because that program will enable the young people to start doing some of the things that we believe that will empower them. That program will enable graduates from the university, graduates from ETDI and other institutions to start working in various institutions to ensure that they give the service to the people, especially the young people at the grassroots. I think there is need for this National Assembly to start giving consideration to that very program so that we can have our young people engaged in one way or the other. Loading bags of rice, you call it, and whatsoever, you don't call that a job opportunity for the young people. That is not a sustainable thing we want to engage our young people. We want a lucrative job to engage our young people, to empower them, something that is sustainable, where they can have that best, if not best, but a standard living. This is what we are talking about. If you get to the quarrel, you get to the cement factory, you see our young people loading and offloading. And we don't just want to see our young people doing that alone. We want this job to be sustainable, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, moving forward, the food package, the President did indicate in this pandemic, the government took the initiative to at least provide a food package for the most vulnerable people. And we are cognizant of that, we are aware of that. We actually visited our places, everyone I did so, going around to consult the people, going around to know what actually, how the distribution was and everything, but there are so much challenges. And the Honorable Vice President is aware of that, and she was called, I can remember here, and that question was asked. Some of the vulnerable people out there, they still don't even know whether the food package we are talking about, the bags of rice, whether it's a blue bag or it's 50 kilo or 25 kilo. They don't know because they are not given the chance to access it, they don't have it. The Honorable Vice President did indicate before the Honorable Assembly that they are working on that to provide this for the vulnerable people out there who are yet to have this food package. Yet, the people out there are still crying without seeing this. I don't know how far they have gone. But the people of Nyamine is a greater number of the people out there within Nyamine. In some villages, they are without this at all. In some villages, others will have it, others will not have it. You get to a compound, others will have it, others will not have it. I don't know what the statistic they were using. I don't know how they were able to figure out this to ensure that the food package was distributed. They need to tell us, because the councils were never in any way involved. And I believe they are the better institutions to define for us the statistic needed in order to access or to get the vulnerable people and have this food package distributed. But they were never involved. Reason does known to them. And there is need for that, because they are the ones working at the grassroots. And they need to be empowered. Empowering them means when certain things like of this nature happen, we need to involve them. We need their service, irrespective of whatever. Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker, there is need for clarity on that. And not long ago, this package food, this money that they are distributing, 3,000 at the provinces, there's a big challenge, and there is need for us to address that, because farmers and the vulnerable people out there, you as an individual, a task is given to you to go and distribute that money to the vulnerable people. After you have made your consultation, they have given you their details, you have given them a ticket, the individual came just to collect that money, you deny the person for having that money. What are you talking about? A money that is given to you, you are paid to go and do the service, you satisfy that individual by giving the individual a ticket that will attest to that individual who is giving the money that I am qualified to get this money. You have nothing to tell me, but after submitting my ticket, you are telling me you cannot get it. And you seize my ticket. I was there when this distribution was taking place. Many people come to my compound complaining about this, and I have to get to the grassroots where this distribution was taking place, and I have found that that's the reality. Others, their tickets were seized. Others, they were not given anything at all, and they have to go like that. The issue has to be addressed. Honorable Speaker, on that note, Honorable Speaker, these are some of the things that I have, Honorable Speaker. There is need for that collaboration. There is need for that unity. There is need for us to move with one agenda in the same direction. If that is actually what we are aiming to do, then we can move this country forward. Because it doesn't matter what tribe you belong to. It doesn't matter where actually you are coming from. But wherever one finds him or herself, you have a responsibility to play as long as nation development is concerned. And everyone should take note of that so that we can move this country forward. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member for Banjul North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the disadvantage of speaking last is that you might end up not having anything to say or little to say, because those who had already spoken before you might have explained what you wanted to say clearly, not just rendering you not to repeat what they have already said. But the positive thing also is that it makes life easy for you, and that your position would be fresh in the minds, especially in a situation like National Assembly where we have ministers who we are expecting to be responding to our concerns. Honorable Speaker, I want to say that the President has fulfilled a constitutional requirement, Section 77, as stated by earlier speakers, 1, and that Section 77.3 also, that the ministers who are supposed to be responding on issues that touch on their the portfolios under their purview are also here at hand to hear our concerns and then respond to them. So we are talking, we are in the same line, we are now talking. This forum is an indication of that you have the legislature and the executive. Having said that, I want to say that the President in his speech, the speech was well presented, it flowed, but as has been indicated, it lacks details. And I believe that there is no better forum and no better time than the present time where we are facing challenges posed by the COVID-19. We were expecting that the President was going to elaborate in detail the challenges they are facing as an executive in terms of implementation of policies, so that as a legislature, we'll be able to intervene where necessary in terms of coming up with legislation, in terms of supporting policies, in terms of allocating resources. Honorable Speaker, the President started, let me start with the concluding remarks of the President on page 67. He said, the indication is that we are in a health, economic and social crisis that will linger on into the future, and a situation that we may have to live with. It poses challenges to contend with, not only with resources, but also with all the courage and energy we can muster. In the face of all this, my government maintains that survival, lives and livelihoods come first. In other words, we rank the people higher than anything else. Good. I want to use this as the premise of my intervention. That having said this, I was also expecting that the President was going to come up with, immediately after these introductory remarks, to start with the response that they've already started undertaking or implementing, and also the response in terms of plans. Honorable Speaker, if you should go to page 9 to 11, that is finance, the President has indicated to us the gloomy economic climate, indicating that what we are being faced with, that is the COVID-19 pandemic, will result to a decline in growth, well, in percentage terms 6%, from 6% to 2%. And that this will necessarily lead to shortfalls. He indicated the challenge in terms of economic activities, and that the current situation, it is estimated that about 20% of expected revenue will be lost. And that, well, in monetary terms, $2.3 billion, which represents 2.4% of GDP. That this is what the country is facing as a consequence of the pandemic. But I want to also make this very clear that Gambia, as well as many countries, are facing a rude awakening, in the sense that they are being caught by surprise by this pandemic, and that is against the background of being unprepared. So I was expecting that the President, and it's still not late, the Honorable Vice President, Honorable Speaker, here, that it's an opportune moment that they will really give effect to Section 154 of the Constitution, creating a contingency. It is high time that the country starts giving effect to that provision, that this coming budget, let us allocate amounts of money to cater for any eventual crisis, disaster, pandemic, whatever may come by our way as a crisis or as disaster. I was also expecting, with the concluding remarks I read out, as taken from the conclusion of the president, that I was expecting